Good afternoon, everybody. This is Brian Hartman. I am coming to you live from the Pharus Global Live at 5 in Ferris Plaza. We're located at 1859 Southeast Port St. Lucie Boulevard in Port St. Lucie, and we are here today for the episode number 34 already of
Wow.
Ferris Global Live at 5. Today we're in for a special treat. Being in the timeshare capital of the world here in Florida, we have Dennis Edwards, the operations manager at Timeshare Owner Justice, who's going to talk to us about how to legally and permanently exit your timeshare contract. Looking forward to that. So, real quick, at Ferris Global, we help businesses grow, typically second stage companies, but we could also work with startup companies all the way through growth mode, eventually to the exit. And we certainly can help with commercial mortgages, residential mortgages, commercial and personal lines of insurance, residential commercial real estate, IT services, medical practice management, billing and coding, financial management and bookkeeping, payroll and PEO services. Guys, we got it all. You can see that all at ferrisglobal.com, and all of our contact information is there. We're more than happy to speak with you and see how we can help your business grow as soon as possible. So, with that said, let us welcome Mr. Dennis Edwards. How are you, my friend?
Doing well. Good to see you again, Brian. How are you?
I am doing good. Thank you. Good to see
Excellent.
you.
Excellent. Yes.
We are really excited to hear what you have to say, Dennis, because, like I said, we are in the timeshare mega capital of the world in Florida, especially in the Orlando market up there.
Yes. Yes. So, um, Brian, thank you for inviting me on today. Um,
Absolutely.
I had no idea, about how timeshares really worked. I'd been to presentations myself. They were pushy and annoying, but I never really got sucked in. And as you know, Brian, you and I worked together. We worked with you helping business owners who were in trouble, for a couple of years. And that's how we were first introduced. I would say about a year and a half ago, one of my friends, their mother had owned a timeshare for many years. And she was getting older, starting to have problems with her health and also loss of memory. And she decided she no longer could use her timeshare. And so she contacted the timeshare company and said, I'd like to get out of my contract. They said, okay, well, we'd like to invite you to a presentation, come down for a free vacation and we'll help you get out of that contract. So she went down to this presentation, Brian. Lo and behold, they said the easiest way to get out of your existing contract is to buy a second timeshare.
Holy cow.
She's in her mid 70s. She's starting to have memory loss. She gets confused. They pushed her and grinded her for about 4 hours. Next thing you know, she had a second timeshare. 3 weeks later, she called again saying, I wanted to get out of the first timeshare. What do I need to do to get out of the first timeshare? She got on the phone with somebody who said, well, the best way to get out of your first timeshare is to upgrade. So they upgraded her. Within like 2 hours over the phone, they had a DocuSign. She went from owing $20,000 to owing $65,000.
You're
Now
kidding
she
me.
has two timeshares. 3 weeks later, she contacted the resort again. I don't want either one of these timeshares. You need to get me out. How do I get out? Come down again for another, free presentation, and we'll help you get out of both of them. She went down there, and lo and behold, she got upgraded on the second one. So at the beginning of January 2020, my friend's mom owed $20,000 on one timeshare. By the end of February, she owed $97,000 on two. She was no closer to being paid off or getting out than before, and she owed way more money. Next, she was contacted by a timeshare exit company that she, was found her information, and they convinced her that they could get her out of both of her contracts, and they charged her $22,000. They took it directly out of her account.
Wow.
So within a period of 4 months, she went from owing $20,000 on one timeshare. Now she owed $97,000 on two, and she had paid a timeshare exit company $20,000. At this point in time, my friend happened to see these bills on her desk, and excuse my French, but he's like, "Mom, what the hell is this?" And he started digging into it, and he was shocked at what he saw. And he pulled together an attorney that he had done business with in the past. He brought myself in, and I have a background working with law firms and consumer advocacy, and a couple other people that had helped people with fighting back against being denied insurance benefits, helping people with who were losing their homes, et cetera. Trying to advocate for consumers. And we researched it and we got involved, and within a matter of a couple of weeks, we got the money back from the timeshare exit company. And within, a couple of months, we got all the money back, and we got her out of both timeshare contracts. And
Awesome.
At that point in time, my friend was like, there's a lot of people in this situation. And we just didn't have any idea how sketchy and shady some of these timeshare people are. And I'm not saying they're all bad. And I'm not saying there's not a benefit in a timeshare, but most of them are paid, commission, and it's their job to grind you and push you until you sign on the dotted line for something. And so that's kind of how this business was born. And my friend, said, I want to start a business doing this, And so for the last year and a half, he's been slowly building things up. And Timeshare Owner Justice was born. Been, working with, many clients and getting things, launched. And I just wanted to come on your program and kind of explain to the general public what we do and, what the service is that we provide. And, a lot of people have no idea how these timeshare contracts work. They have no idea how one-sided they are. And I see a huge need and a huge benefit in this service. It's doing good. It's giving back good karma, helping people. And so that's why, this company exists. So we want to help people. But like I said, I wanted to show, your viewers a couple slides here, Brian, about the timeshares and how these contracts work.
Well, I have a couple of questions for you too. First of all,
Go ahead.
I love the name of the company. I think the company name is fantastic. Timeshare Owner Justice. Everybody knows exactly what you're doing and what you're out to help them with. Right? So far from what you see, Dennis, is there a main age range that you're seeing where people need the most help? Is it the elderly, or is it all over the board?
Great question. It's primarily senior citizens, because people enter into these contracts because they're sold the dream of go wherever you want, whenever you want. And they make it seem so wonderful, but they don't tell you all the details. You have a mortgage loan for, let's say, $15,000 that you pay off over 10 years. You probably don't realize the interest rates usually are about an average of 15% on that loan. Most of these people have paper credit, and they should not be paying that much on a loan. They also have maintenance fees, which we'll get into a little bit more down the line. But the maintenance fees are a lifetime, obligation, and they go up, anywhere from 4 to 12% each year, an average of probably 8% a year. And people don't realize that. And they think it's a good deal. Then they try to get a vacation and there's nothing available when they want to go. Then they have to spend more money to go where they want to go. And then the price keeps going up. And then they're going to a destination they don't want to go. And then they get older and they want to get out. And they were told, well, this is an investment. You could sell it. And then you go online and you see 100 of them selling for $1. So it's mostly the elderly, to be honest with you. We also, see people that have had a change in financial circumstances or in their health, where they're not able to travel as much. And obviously coronavirus was a big, influencer, because a lot of these resorts weren't even fully open,
Sure. Unbelievable. For
Yes.
everybody everyone that's tuning in, if you're coming in live from Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube, please hit that like button and smash that bell so you find out about upcoming episodes. If you have a nightmare story that you just want to get off your chest about timeshares, drop it in the comments, or even just questions, because I'm sure there's a number of questions popping up. Drop it in a comment as well, and we'll be happy to go over those questions and hopefully be able to answer them for you. So I know, Dennis, we're going to talk about how timeshares work and how one-sided the contracts are. So
Right.
with that said, let me pull up your presentation here. There we go.
Okay. So the first bubble up here is talking about the maintenance fees. All timeshare contracts have a lifetime maintenance fee, clause in them. And the maintenance fee, the average is about $1,000 a year, and it goes up, like I said, an average of 8% a year. And that's to maintain the property. And the truth of the matter is, only about 30% of that money actually goes to maintain the property. The rest is going into the timeshare developer's pocket. And so let's say you buy a timeshare when you're 40. Well, for the next, 50 years that you live, you're going to be paying that maintenance fee every year, whether you use it or not. And it's going to go up, let's say 7 or 8% a year. It's a hell of a lot of money to spend on a vacation. The timeshare companies, next bubble, they talk about, you can go where you want, when you want. That's not really the case. It's very difficult to get the reservation you want on the week you want, even if you have a specific time reserved or a specific, day of the week reserved or whatever. The resort you want may not be available. And so that's a big problem. And then special assessments. A lot of people don't know about special assessments, but let's say you have a property in Myrtle Beach, and Myrtle Beach gets hit by a hurricane, and there's, $100,000 damage, to one of the buildings. So who's going to pay for that? Who do you think pays for that?
The
timeshare owners, they divide it up. They figure out, they get a cost for the work, and then all of the owners divide up the cost of that special assessment. So about 85% of all timeshare owners will receive a special assessment at some time during their timeshare ownership. You have no control over it. You can't determine how much it is or how much it isn't, and you have to pay it. If you don't, they can come after you, and some timeshare owners find themselves not only getting their credit dinged or destroyed, but also some extreme cases, they'll file a civil judgment against the timeshare owner. And the last bubble on here, there's a perpetuity clause. So this is a lifetime contract. So it lasts your entire life. If you buy a timeshare when you're 40 and your maintenance fees are $500 a year, they're going to go up an average of 8% a year for the next 50 years until you pass away. But guess what? When you pass away, it will go to your heirs. It doesn't disappear. It's not gone. Now your heirs have to pay for it. So people don't realize this. It's not disclosed, that this is a lifetime contract. Are any of your business deals lifetime deals, Brian, that you have, or your commercial loans lifetime?
I wish they were, but they're not.
When you help a company with their medical billing and coding, do they sign a lifetime contract with you?
Yeah, no.
So
No.
I can't think of any business that has a lifetime contract that goes on after you pass away. So that's what you're getting into with the timeshare. So,
the sad part is that if it was done properly, it might be nice to be able to hand it down to your children or heirs. but because there's an expense that comes along with it, that truly
Right.
becomes a burden on the next
Right.
generation. Unbelievable.
That's how they put it together so that they maximize their profit, because even after the mortgage is paid off, you're still paying. Just think of that. Each unit has at least 52 owners all paying that maintenance fee.
Right.
At a minimum. That's if it's weekly. If it's like, a 2-day timeshare thing, think about that. It's even more. So back in the 90s and early 2000s, it was a perfect system because you would have a guaranteed week. That was before Expedia. That was before Airbnb. That was before the constant need to upgrade. And so the other thing that these timeshare companies do, so maybe you get 1 or 2 vacations out of them the first couple of years. Then they say, when you try to book again, you need to buy more points. You need to go to the VIP program. You need to go to VIP Gold. You need to go to VIP Platinum. So many timeshare owners that I've spoken with, Brian, tell me this, and they're so mad. They're already paying $1,000 a year in maintenance fees. They're already paying, 150 a month on their loan. And now on top of that, if they want this vacation the week that they want, they got to pay $400 more. It makes no sense. What's the benefit?
There isn't.
Right.
There isn't, unfortunately. Wow, that's a shame that it's gotten this out of control.
Yes. Well,
terrible.
The other thing is, it used to be exclusive. Timeshares were exclusive. This is the timeshare, building. It's all timeshares, nothing else. That's the past. So if you look at this slide here, it shows that more than 50% of all timeshares are available to the general public to rent out. And guess what? How much do you think these other people pay to rent out your timeshare? Do you think they pay more than you pay? No, they pay less.
Right.
So if you go online at any of these travel sites, hotel.com, expedia.com, Travelocity, you'll find timeshare units, maybe the same timeshare unit you own for way less than what you're paying. Plus, they'll have inclusive packages with airfare and food and stuff. So it's just timeshares just aren't, it's not special anymore.
The moral of the story is don't buy, rent.
Right. Exactly.
That's a great picture of William Shatner too, by the way.
Yes. Yeah. Fresh off his space flight.
Yeah, there you go. Gotta love it.
Yes. So this is kind of breaks down the true cost of ownership. You have a down payment and your mortgage payments, let's say that's 25%. Then you have the increases in your maintenance and special assessment fees. That's about 35%. And then you have, all the other vacation expenses that you have. All you're getting is a condo room. You're not getting airfare, food, drinks, entertainment. All that's on top of it. And a lot of the times, Brian, they make you go to another timeshare presentation when you're there. Yeah. Oh, we're going to give you a $300 gift certificate. But you have to go to another timeshare presentation where, guess what? They're going to beat you up and try and get you to upgrade, like they did my friend's mom, or get her to buy a second one. This is how you get out. You buy a second one. No scruples, man. They make used car salesmen look like, bankers. As I said, the maintenance fees increase 8% on average each year. And you're not going to get a return on the money you spent. Do you think you can sell your timeshare? You spent $20,000 on it. You really think you can sell it to somebody for $20,000?
No, not even close.
The truth of the matter is, the only way you can even think about selling a timeshare is if the loan is paid off. So you're already $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 into it. And then if you look online at redweek.com, on eBay, most of them are selling for $1. Some are selling for 1 cent because people want to get rid of the maintenance fee contract. The only ones that have value, it's like if you have a week in Hawaii at an exclusive resort on the sand. Yes, they might have some value. Yes, you might have paid $40,000 for it and you could get $5,000 for it. But that's 1 in 100, Brian. It's not worth it. And this kind of breaks down the true long-term cost. You know, you're like, well, I'm not using it, but I'm only paying $1,000 a year. Well, look at what that $1,000 a year adds up to as you go down over the next few years. You know, it goes up an average of 8% a year. So it goes from 1,000, you know, to, 1,300. And then the next year it's, 1,600, and look at the cumulative costs. Next thing you know, you've spent over $100,000 just on maintenance fees on your timeshare. So when you start thinking about it and how much you're paying, that's why so many people want to get out. 85% of all timeshare owners are not happy with their purchase. And there's over 10 million people that own timeshares in the United States right now.
Wow, I didn't know it was that many people.
Yeah. So
you guys are going to be busy.
Yeah. You would think, like I said, with Expedia and Travelocity and Airbnb, I just thought it was like a dying breed, but it's not. Like I said, I had no idea, until my friend's mom, all this stuff happened last year to her. And now that we're in the business, I see all these people it's still happening to. I just can't believe it. They get people in a presentation. They sell them a bill of goods. They keep you there for 4 or 5 hours. They have one person after another come up, pester you, bother you, promise you the world until you give in. And it's a lifetime contract. And next thing you know, game over. You're stuck.
All right. So we have a couple of questions here. If we take a break for a second. So Scott Nuttall wants to know, what is the secondary market for buying a timeshare? Seems like a lot of people are trying to unload these arrangements.
It's pretty much non-existent, Scott, to tell you the truth. If you go on redweek.com, that's a good site to look at these. And they charge like $20 a month to post them and list them, but most of them are selling for $1. You can also go on to eBay and look. Craigslist also, most of them are for $1. And so they just don't hold value because it's just a tiny percentage share of a unit. If it's in an amazing location, Hawaii, on the beach, you've got a block guaranteed. Those are the ones that have some value. There are some companies that are shady that say, oh, we'll sell your timeshare, pay us $5,000, avoid them like the plague. No one, you can do it yourself. Go to redweek.com. You can put in your resort and the name of, and what, type of unit you have, and it'll give you an estimated price. But there's a glut of these on the market. There's not a shortage of them. There's a glut. And so they just don't really hold value. Thanks for the question, though. Everyone is trying to unload these arrangements. And so that's why a company like us exists, where we offer a legal and permanent way for them to get out of their obligation.
Awesome. Scott, thank you for joining the show and for the question. We appreciate it. And then we have a comment from Pete Previtt, who's actually the general manager of our companies. Certainly important information to consider before investing in a timeshare. Good for some, not good for others.
I would agree. I have a friend, he's in his 50s. He loves his timeshare. He uses it every year. He gets his kids to use it. He knows what he's in, and he realizes, he's going to be paying a lot more when he gets older. He might not be able to use it, but he gets, his family uses it for a week in Palm Springs every year. And he believes that, he can give it to his kids and they'll get value out of it. So there are some people that it works for. But the truth of the matter is, Brian, is with Airbnb and everything else, you can get a better deal on a vacation, go where you want, when you want, be in a lot more control, and you're not locked into anything. So unless there's a place you love and you're going to love it for the rest of your life, Do you really want to do this? So thank you for the question, Pete. And the timeshare salespeople try to say it's an investment. Oh, it'll appreciate in value. I promise you, no timeshare has ever appreciated in value, ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, it's more, can I get out of this, somewhat intact?
Right.
Not can I come out ahead. You're not going to come out ahead.
Pete, thanks for joining the show, and thanks for the comment. Definitely hits home for a lot of people, I'm sure. All right, so we've got another slide here.
Right. So Scott and Pete both kind of led up to this. So, like I told Scott, there's no value. You can't sell it. It's worth nothing. More people are selling than buying. You've got all these other options. I can pay, less for a luxury vacation going through these sites than I can through a timeshare. If you do nothing, you're like, well, I'm screwed. I'm just going to keep paying it. You're going to pay maintenance fees and assessments for the rest of your life. And then when you pass away, it's going to go to your heirs. Your children and your grandchildren are going to have this for the rest of their life. I talked to someone today who's a daughter of a timeshare owner. Her maintenance fees are $1,500 a year. She didn't know that her parents had this timeshare, and she's like, I'm stuck with this stupid timeshare, and I'm paying $1,500 a year. I need to get out. She's never used it. She didn't know, but it's set up so when it's part of the estate, unfortunately. So how do you get out of this? Well, that's where we come into our company, Timeshare Owner Justice. We can help you get rid of your timeshare legally and permanently.
No, that's awesome, and that's part of where I wanted to head with it. Stop sharing the screen. Let's get us back up here. There we go. So we talked about it. We circled around it, but what exactly does Timeshare Owner Justice do, and how does it get people out of the contract?
Okay. Well, what we do is we dig deep into each time owner's situation, and we determine if we have legitimate grounds for dispute. We conduct discovery and research, and look at things, misrepresentations in the presentation, truth in lending violations. Do they disclose that the maintenance fees are going to continually go up to you? Did you understand that? In some states, this is considered a real estate license, a real estate transaction. And a lot of these people are, selling real estate without a license. So we look for places that we can push back. And, we put together with our legal team and we prepare a case. And then we go after the timeshare developer with a legal demand in conjunction with our in-house counsel and our consumer advocates and the timeshare owner. And we demand that they release them from their contract based on X, Y, and Z, consumer protection codes, consumer protection laws, violations of truth in lending, violations, of real estate disclosures, violations of, are they elderly people who were misled, like my friend's mother? We actually had a doctor's letter that said she was unable to make financial decisions, which helped us, get her out of the contract very quickly. Mm-hmm. And we use all that and we do a full-on frontal assault on the timeshare developer. It's not a lawsuit. You don't sue them. It's more of a pressure campaign to exert pressure upon them. We do a couple extra steps that none of the other companies in this space do, Brian. We get government, federal, state regulators, the entities and regulators who oversee the industry involved, and we get open cases filed against the timeshare developer, which puts additional pressure on the developer. So it's not just Timeshare Owner Justice, our attorney, and the timeshare owner versus X developer. It's also, we've got this regulatory agency, and this regulatory agency, all with open inquiries. Why did you do this? Please explain yourself. Why did you tell them, why does the affidavit say that, you told them this was a fixed payment on the maintenance fee, but the contract says it goes up 5% every year. Why? And so the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And so we push and push. The timeshare companies, sometimes we're able to get them to very quickly release. I would say a quick case is 6 weeks, to 3 months. Well, they will agree to release you from the obligation. They don't buy it back. The way that it works is they'll take it back so they can sell it to somebody else, the next schlub that comes along, unfortunately. But at least you're not part of it anymore. And so we get them to fully agree to release you 100% of your obligation, to make any more payments. On the more difficult cases, we do have to get the lawyer more involved. We'll do that. In some instances, we end up going through mediation or arbitration, which actually works in our favor, because a third party that's independent has to review the facts, and they're always going to land on the side of the timeshare owner. So it's kind of like when you want to get paid on an insurance claim. The insurance company is going to do everything they can to deny you. And they're just going to make it hard for you to get paid. You have to scratch and claw and pick and fight. You have to be tenacious. You have to be smart. And you have to have legitimate grounds for dispute. When we have all of those things, 100% of the time, Brian Hartman, we will get these timeshare owners out of their contract.
That's awesome.
And we offer a 100% guarantee that we will get you out of your timeshare contract. We have a money-back guarantee. If we do not achieve a full and complete legal exit of your timeshare contract, you will get a full 100% refund.
That's great. And so who qualifies for this, Dennis? Is there a certain criteria that you look for?
So a timeshare owner that still has a mortgage is the person who's in the most pain and suffering the most, that would need the help the most because they're paying the loan and the maintenance fees. And so we just need to determine if there's legitimate grounds for dispute. Most timeshare owners have legitimate grounds for dispute, not 100%, but I would say 80 to 85% have legitimate grounds for dispute. I have an unusual case where the guy loved the timeshare for many, many years. He used it. Then there was a hurricane. It didn't destroy the property, but it was Marriott at French Coves or something like that in Florida. And his complaint is that it destroyed all the scenery and the coves around it. And so we were able to find a clause in his contract and a loophole, regarding, what the state of the property. And we're able to push back on that because he's not in a financial hardship. He has used it. And it's not about a misrepresentation. It's that they can't deliver on what was promised. So he wants out. So each case is different, but that's kind of how we determine who qualifies. If you only have maintenance fees, then in some cases, if your maintenance fees are really low, let's say they're $300 a year, it might not, the amount of loss, and the pain that you're going through might not be, worth hiring a company to help you try to get out of this. But, most people are, like I said, the average is about $1,000. If you're 500, 600, 800, 1,000, there's people that pay $3,000 a year in maintenance fees. It's going to be $250 next year. Just keep adding up, So for those people, they definitely need us. So that's kind of the parameters for who qualifies.
So, we talked about the process. Can people actually do this themselves?
You cannot do it yourself. What a very few developers offer, if you are completely paid up on your timeshare loan, some of them have a certified exit program where you can call them and say, I never want to use this again. Can I get out of this maintenance contract? And they'll say, yeah, certainly. Sell it to someone else. No one else will buy it. But some developers, maybe 15%, will let you go through a certified exit program. You might have to pay them a year of maintenance fees. And so you can try that first and see. but only about 15% of developers offer certified exit programs. Other than that, it's not something you can do by yourself. Some people stop paying and are like, screw them. They ripped me off. They lied to me. I'm not going to pay them. And yeah, you're not paying them, but they're going to start coming at you. They're going to start banging your credit, hurting your credit, collection calls. It might affect your ability, to refinance your house.
Sure.
Or to get a credit card. And in some extreme cases, they will file a judgment. We've seen it before where they file a judgment against a timeshare owner, and you're like, I'm not paying them. I haven't used it in 5 years. Then all of a sudden, you have a judgment for $5,000 against you, 10 grand, whatever it might be. But you still, you need to not only pay that, you're still in the contract. So it's just not something for the faint of heart. People don't have time to deal with this crap. Excuse my language. You need professionals. We have relationships with many of the timeshare companies. It's a healthy respect in some instances. It's a disdain in other instances. And, it's like, not these guys again,
Sure.
because we're aggressive. We fight, we push, we make the timeshare developer feel pain until they let our client out. We're going to fight for justice. We're going to get you out.
Well, and one thing that you mentioned that I think is really, really important, if you stop paying, it's going to end up costing you more money over the long run.
Right.
That collection is going to stay on your credit for 7 years. It's going to lower your credit score.
Right.
You're going to pay higher interest rates on everything else. And overall, it's going to be way more expensive than just going to Timeshare Owner Justice to be able to get it taken care of from the get-go.
Right. And here's an important point to bring up. So I get asked this, do you have to stop paying to get the timeshare developer to let you out of your contract? No, you do not have to stop paying. You do not need to do that. We are able to get them to work with us and negotiate with us and get you out of the contract while you're still maintaining your obligation and paying them. We're not advising people to break their contracts. If you've already stopped paying, or if you're so disgusted with the timeshare developer that you don't want to pay them anymore, well, we can still help you. We can still get you out. In some cases, it does increase your negotiating power if you've stopped paying, but you're not required to stop paying. I just want to be clear. We're not advocating stop paying and hire us. We'll get you out. It's your personal decision, if that's what you want to do. But if you do make that decision to stop paying, we can protect you. We do have, access to credit repair services to protect your credit and to make you come out of this hole on the other side and be clear of your contract.
Awesome. So in closing, Dennis, how does someone get started, and what does this cost for them to be able to get it done?
Good question. So our company, Timeshare Owner Justice, tries to be kind of unique in this space because if you've ever talked to a timeshare salesman, a timeshare exit salesman is a lot like the timeshare salesman. They talk fast, they're pushy, they sound like, no offense to used car salesmen, but kind of like some of the slicker used car salesmen. They're trying to kind of get one over on you. We try to be different. We try to be, more understanding. We're really trying to bring back good into the world. What goes around comes around. We offer discounts, Brian, for veterans and first responders. And our pricing is much more competitive than most of the other companies. I mean, there's big, gigantic timeshare companies that have, 50 employees, and they're advertising on television. You don't get treated with, you're not special with those companies, and they're going to charge a lot more money. Timeshare Owner Justice, like I said, our pricing is much more competitive. We're willing to consider payment plans for people that are in a financial situation. And the way that someone would get started. And the other thing is the price is based upon, do you have a mortgage or just a maintenance fee? Because the work is more difficult when you do have a mortgage loan. Some people say, why can't you just give me a price? It's based on the mortgage. It's based on your maintenance fee. It's also based on your developer. Some developers are harder than others, and it takes more work for our team and our attorney. So that's kind of what it's based upon. But like I said, we're typically more competitive than the other people in our space. I would say the average cost most people pay for this service is $5,000 to $10,000 with other companies. I would say we're more in a $3,500 to $7,000 range, so about 30% lower. Don't quote me on that. There's exceptions where it's more, and there's exceptions where it may be a little bit less than that. But like I said, we're trying to help people. That's why we're doing this. Obviously it's a business. We need to pay the bills, but we're trying to get people out of this lifetime contract that they never really understood in the first place. And, we don't want to see how much we can pull out of them. We want to help them so that everyone feels good at the end of the process. So if you want to get, understand our company, look us up. We're online at timeshareownerjustice.org or timeshareownerjustice.com. You can call me directly at 719-300-1181, or you can send an email. And all we would do is we'd have about a 15-minute discussion about your particular situation, who your developer is, and what happened. And we just want to determine if we have legitimate grounds for dispute and if it's a case that we could take on. And what I really enjoy doing, a lot of people, our service might not be right for them, or they're not sure what to do. We might just be able to point you in the right direction. Maybe you're not someone that, we're going to, is going to sign up with us. That's okay. I want to give you good advice. I know a lot about this industry. I want to point you in the right direction, so at least you have a path to, success in the future.
It's awesome.
So
that was great information, Dennis. So before we close out the show, I know we went over a lot of information. Was there anything else that we didn't touch on that you'd like to tell everybody?
I truly think that, we're the best option in the industry. We have a different type of strategy. We utilize, proprietary technology, not proprietary technology, proprietary strategy, that we've developed through other verticals. Like I said, we used to work fighting with insurance companies. That's kind of how a lot of this strategy was developed. Same thing. Insurance companies don't want to pay. How do you force insurance companies to pay? You make them feel pain. You get the regulators involved. You don't sue them. They have deep pockets. So, compared to what I've seen other timeshare companies do, they're sending out template letters, from a paralegal demanding, that they let them out. Our process is, 40 times more intensive and targeted and strategic and aggressive. And all of our clients are thrilled as soon as we start, going to battle with the timeshare developer. And we're typically engaging with them in about 30 to 45 days. Most companies, it takes them 4 to 6 months before anything tangible happens. We're, engaging in 30 to 45 days and starting the negotiation process.
Awesome.
So you can also, Brian, if they stop into Pharus Funding for a cup of coffee, I heard it's really good, and I know you invite people to do that. Yep. They could tell you about their problem with their timeshare, and then you could hook them up with me too, or anyone on this, on this call. If you know a friend or a relative, this is going to become an ongoing problem. With COVID, a lot of people don't want to travel as much anymore, or motorhomes and RVs are a big thing now, more than going to a central location. So they'll still find a way to rope you into their contracts. But if you're part of the 85% of timeshare owners that aren't happy, call me. Dennis Edwards, Timeshare Owner Justice.
There you go. Well, thank you very much, Dennis. For everybody that's out there, we have upcoming shows. We'd love to have you on and talk about your business and how you can educate our viewers. Dennis, this was amazing. I know that a lot of people will be reaching out to you, and I'll certainly be pushing people in your direction. Like I said, we're in the timeshare mecca of the world, and
Right.
being close to Orlando and Tampa, and there's plenty of people, unfortunately, that need some help. So
Right.
um, for those of you that know anybody, please refer them over to Dennis. Get them over to me, and I'll get them to Dennis, and we'll get some help for everybody. Dennis, thank you again. I look forward to hearing from everybody. Who, if you'd like to join the show, reach out at pharusglobal.com and stop in. Like Dennis said, we have coffee and occasional donuts. So we're happy to have you over. Thank you very much. Have a great night, Dennis.
Thanks. You as well, Brian.
And
Take it
to you,
easy.
everybody out there, have a great night as well.
Thank you, Live at 5, for having me.
Thank you.